if you don't know, we kind of did a little thing before this. If you're watching this video first, you're doing it wrong. Go to the description. There's part 1 of this series. Prefix was had a little problem. You want to share what your problem was?
Yeah. Well, I was in the middle of a point and I like got disconnected, and I was kind of confused because like you stopped talking a little bit and your video was just frozen. I'm like, oh, I wonder if Armin disconnected.
Yeah, I thought the
Well,
same
I'll
thing.
finish this point, and so I went in to finish my point, and then everything else is saying I'm disconnected. I'm like, oh well, shit. I checked in my router and like the logs in it were like exploding. Apparently, I was getting hit offline.
Wait,
I think Hillary Clinton personally hit me offline. That's a confirmed fact.
she hit you offline, like with a baseball bat, like
Yes.
offline in real life.
Yep. She walked up to my router and punched it with a baseball bat. She punched it with it. She held it but punched while it was in her hand. Like this, but punched.
That must be really awkward because then you knock over a bunch of stuff with this stuff too.
Maybe that's what scared my cat to make her fall down knock the gate down and knock my
That
dog
did
down.
happen.
It's all fitting together.
All right, well, in case you missed it last episode, we talked about Aleppo has fallen, official seal. We're going to be unbiased. Frank Luntz's face, Roe v. Wade, and acid wash and bleach bit. Okay, that's what we got. Now we're going to start talking about the Heller decision. That sound good to you, Prefix?
All right. You can read the paragraph about it, and then I'll get into it.
On June 26, 2008, the Supreme Court affirmed the Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit in the Heller versus the District of Columbia. The Supreme Court struck down provisions of the Firearm Control Regulations Act of 1975 as unconstitutional, determined that handguns are arms for the purposes of the Second Amendment, found that the Regulations Act was an unconstitutional ban, and struck down the portion of the Regulations Act that required all firearms, including rifles and shotguns, to be kept unloaded and disassembled or bound by a trigger lock. Prior to this decision, the Firearm Control Regulations Act of 1975 also restricted residents from owning handguns except those registered prior to 1975.
So basically, like Washington, D.C. banned handguns and like made it so if you had a rifle, you had to keep it like unassembled and keep your ammo like far away. So like if you were getting robbed, it would take you like 6 hours to like get your gun. You're like, oh, I gotta go. Once I find my barrel and my stock, you're gonna be in for it. Just gotta get my ammo out, you know. So basically, like,
where's my trigger assembly?
What pisses me off the most about that is they had handguns when the fucking country was formed. Washington had a handgun.
They were more like mini blunderbusses.
They were, but they would have been banned under the DC law. George Washington's revolver or whatever would have been banned.
Well, not George Washington's, because his would be grandfathered in.
Oh yeah, because if you got one that was
his revolver that year, it would be banned.
If you got a replica that was made in 1976, it would be. And what's even more retarded about this shit is like the year it was made matters. Like I could walk up with a fucking RPG, but it was 19. What was that? 95 or 96? 95. Okay, that's magic. You can keep it. 76? Oh no, fuck you. That's out of here. It's gotta be 75. 76. That's when they turned evil.
All right, you got what do we put this in here? I don't know.
Hillary Clinton was saying that the Heller decision was protecting children, and like she was mentioning how like she's for the Second Amendment, but supported the Heller decision. She was upset because she thinks that it was hurting children that like people could have guns, while saying, well, I support the Second Amendment. That's why like I thought this was a good way to regulate the Second Amendment, to ban handguns and to make it so you can't have a rifle or shotgun assembled.
Well, look, she's obviously lying about everything she says on the Second Amendment. She's completely against the Second Amendment. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right.
It kind of bothered me though that Trump didn't like call her out on like the Heller decision because I'm sure he at least knows what the Heller decision is because people would have been like this is a big thing that Hillary was talking about. Like he even mentioned that she was like saying how devastated she was about that thing and she was happy that Scalia died because now that they can pass gun control. Like she said all this shit, so like we know she wants to ban guns, and he could have called her out. It's like, the Heller decision was banning handguns and shit. Because I'm pretty sure, like, most people in the audience don't know, like, what a handgun is or anything. They would just be like, whatever.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows.
I mean, they wouldn't know that it was handguns. Like, I said that backwards. Like, they were just like, whatever, when they're saying, like, they banned these things. They don't know it's handguns. If they said they banned handguns, they would have been like, oh, whoa, that's a big deal. But if they just say like, oh, they're restricting some rights on firearms, people would be like, whatever, I don't even know. I don't care. Like even her supporters.
The stupid thing is that banning handguns would actually make sense. Unlike banning rifles, which are never used in murder cases, it's overwhelmingly handguns. There are more like blunt objects used than there are rifles. It's all handguns, but nobody wants to ban them because they're not scary enough.
Yep. Well, they did ban them in D.C. Hillary did. She wanted to ban them. And what happened is they actually had skyrocketing crime rates because guess what? The criminals didn't turn over their handguns. Who would have guessed?
Oh, I mean, are you just gonna say like, well, murderers won't follow the law either, so let's just make that legal?
Well, the thing is, when you make murder illegal, it's not because you think it's gonna stop everybody from committing murder. You make it illegal, so then you punish the people who do commit that crime. Which is like, if you ban people from owning guns, then like a lot of people will be discouraged from owning the gun. The same way if you ban murder, because people won't want to deal with that penalty. But the people who are going to commit harm are going to do that anyways, which is why we make like gun violations a crime instead. Because people who misuse guns, those people should go to jail because they're misusing. Like if you you're threatening somebody with a gun, or if you shoot a person in the face, different variety of things. If you misuse a gun, then you go to jail for the thing. But if you just make it owning a gun, then less people are going to want to own the gun. But that doesn't mean that the criminals are going to be the people who are reducing on that. Like if you look at
a similar argument to what I think of DUIs. Have we had this conversation before?
DUI? I don't think so.
I don't think a DUI should be a crime. I think anything you do on the influence of drugs or alcohol should fall under the crime that that would be like if you weren't high or drunk. Oh. It shouldn't be just a crime because you're drunk.
No, I completely agree, especially because different states have huge varieties of like how drunk or whatever. Like some states are super strict, some are more lenient. Like if you're like a 0.06 or whatever and you're driving fine, then okay, you're driving fine. But if you're 0.06 and you can't handle it and you're driving recklessly, okay, reckless driving. Get the guy off the road.
Hey, Prefect, you wanna like let us know why you have a poster on your ceiling?
I think I went over that in one of the other podcasts.
Well, someone's asking now, so tell them.
It's actually there because there's like a little tiny ding in my ceiling from an airsoft gun that ricocheted off a soda can in my room.
So what kind of poster is that?
Halo 3.
Halo 3? All right. Yep. Yes, my room is a mess. I'm not very clean. I'm sorry.
At least you don't have a poster on your ceiling. It is a blue Spartan with an energy sword sneaking up behind and lunging at a red Spartan who is holding an SMG firing forward.
I do see the energy sword on there.
And there's a guy in the background shooting a Spartan laser too, but you probably can't see that from that far away.
It looks mostly black from here.
Yeah, I would assume that. I can see a little pixel where I think the energy sword is.
You know what pisses me off?
What?
I used to work at a gas station. and there's people who come in, and we have these things called for reals. It's basically a cup of ice cream that you throw into a machine, and it puts milk in there and spins it up, so you make a milkshake. Yeah, first of all, it's not milk. They pump water. I seen the water like valve thing. The machines never get filled with milk or anything. It's water that they're putting in there. They're lying to you. It's a water and ice cream shake.
Sue them all.
Everybody who comes in to get a for real is a complete faggot. They all make a complete mess. They're all loud. They all wear the weirdest hats. Like I've seen people come in with those like those just like flat brimmed like fishing hats or whatever they are, and they have like little beads hanging off of them. Who wears that in public, especially at 3 a.m. to go get milkshakes from a gas station? Every time someone comes in to grab a for real, every single time, mark my words, every time they come in, they're always loud and annoying. One time someone came in with his like friends, and these guys are like your typical like high school jocks and whatnot. The guy comes in with his friends and says, "Let's get some for reals." It echoes throughout the entire. I'm not joking. It echoes throughout the entire store. They go over there. They spend 20 minutes getting for reals and like make a complete mess. This is things. The things that don't make a mess from the machine. The machine does make a mess. It does get like milk water everywhere. But they do things. This is the people specifically. They do things that make a mess outside of the machine. When the machine starts like splattering water everywhere, they'll take like straws, throw them on the ground, take straws out of the wrappers, leave the wrappers on the counter, even though there's like a trash can like literally an inch from the counter right under there. It's ridiculous. David also had these problems too. He had this was a recent story. He had a mother come in with a child. The child got a for real and made a mess everywhere. I think the child spilled the for real after the machine got done making its own mess. So he was about to walk away, but the mother was like, "Hey, go clean that up. You made that mess. You got to clean it up." So the child cleans up the mess. David gives her a free drink. She got her drink with her. So he gives her the drink for free just for not raising a fucking for real faggot. Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about that. There's not about those.
Someone's commenting on the thing. His name is Fur Reels. What do you guys think of Joseph the One Man Clan Bench? All right, I'm pretty sure that's Tim. Tim, thank you for that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to something.
Wait, I want to talk about those self-serve things. There's like one of those convenience stores that has one of those self-serve soda things near me, and I don't know what it is about like convenience stores with self-serve things. People don't know how to manage them at all. And I know what you mean about like they throw trash in like where like the sodas and stuff come out, but like throw it in there, stuff that's not even from there. Like I've seen a McDonald's like fry package in one of them. Like how does that happen? Like that's not something that just happens. Like it takes effort. Like some guys like reaching in their pocket, like it's like rip it up. It was like a piece of it, and like the McDonald's salt packets. And it's a convenience store that doesn't have McDonald's in it or salt packets. And then the straws, like they always have like 8 straws in the thing. And it doesn't happen at like a restaurant. It doesn't happen at the movie theaters where they just put self-serve things. It only happens at convenience stores. I think it's something with convenience stores and people that go there to do self-serve things.
I've had scumbaggy-looking drunks who just come in, grab like a beer, like a pack of beer, and they'll go grab like a water or something, and they'll clean up after themselves. No, it's only the people who get for reals who do it at the store I worked at.
Or self-serve things at stores near me. It's self-serve things. Self-serve things do not work in convenience stores.
Well, it worked perfectly for me. Like there was minimal mess, but
it's the people. They don't know how to use them. They throw trash in them.
The self-serve pop machines, those are fine. Just the
Well,
for.
they're like
I guess
small
it might be
packets of
like
them.
all the bad energy is focused into the for real machine. That's the thing. It has like a big screen on the front of it that you can like. It's a touch screen. It plays like promotions. Like when you put your thing in there, it starts like playing Hypnotoad, saying you will make a mess all over the place. Okay,
I think we can move on
yeah,
to
we can move on from
a
this.
non for real thing.
Oh, I do actually have one more story. There's like a group of like high school girls came into the store one day, and they all bought like for reals, except two of them who bought waters, and like they each paid individually. So I took a look at each of their for reals when I like scanned it. I was like, oh yeah, banana mango smoothie. Well, that's a good choice. Very unique. I like that one. And then the next one was like blueberry raspberry something. Oh yeah, that's a very unique flavor. That one's probably my favorite. Milkshake cookie, Oreo cookie milkshake. Oh yeah, that's a very unique one. That's probably my favorite. Just did that all the way down the line. The last person ended up buying water, and I was like, oh yeah, Aquafina. That's my favorite. It was just a pretty funny story. All right, let's move on. We're done with gas station talk.
Did we get into Planned Parenthood? Did you mention that?
Um,
It was somewhat related to the
no,
Roe v. Wade thing.
no. Yeah, we can go ahead and do
All right.
that.
So, in the past, Donald Trump's been accused of both loving and wanting to destroy Planned Parenthood, like in the same week, even. So here's the thing with the Planned Parenthood. Donald Trump has praised Planned Parenthood, saying they do some good things, but if they're providing abortions and they're taking taxpayer funds, then they need to be defunded or they have to stop doing abortions. Now, somehow Hillary Clinton can turn that into saying that he is stopping women from having abortions and that the government shouldn't be getting involved in it when her whole stance is that the government has to pay for abortion. Like that's what her stance is. While she's saying Donald Trump, the government should stay out of abortion, and that kind of bothers me because I thought his stance on Planned Parenthood was pretty reasonable and good. It's saying it's illegal for taxpayer funds to go to abortion. Planned Parenthood violates that. We know they do. It's obvious. They can't spend taxpayer funds on abortion. So what they do is they take funding from other people and then they'll say, okay, our taxpayer funds went to this, and then the other funds we got from other people went to abortions. But if they weren't getting the federal funds, then their funds they're getting from other people would have been going to the things that they're getting federal funds from. So they're getting federal funds while providing abortions. Obviously, some of that money is going to go to abortions.
The thing about that is, even if it's true that they don't use every single dollar that they take from the federal government does not go anywhere near an abortion. Even if that's true, it's still a violation of the spirit of the law. If you get federal funds, you use them on something else that you would have used the rest of your funds for anyways. You're pretty much subsidizing the opportunity cost of abortions by funding them.
Yeah. And so Donald Trump's stance is actually saying we should follow that law that we already have, and Hillary Clinton's saying we shouldn't follow that law. Now, I'm fine with somebody saying the law should be changed, but I would disagree with them. I think that people shouldn't be forced to pay for abortions, but nobody's even trying to say that. They're just they just go around and liberals just lie about it, say Planned Parenthood's not doing that. And another thing Planned Parenthood does is they sell baby parts to private companies and stuff. And there's also people who try to claim that it's for medical research, but it's actually not. They'll sell them to big companies that make food products and stuff. They do things with the fetuses and try to figure out different stuff in them and nutrients. I don't know exactly what happens. Some Alex Jones type people will say that Pepsi's throwing a fetus in your Pepsi. They bottle it up and sell it to you. It's not quite that bad.
It's a whole fetus, a whole
Yeah,
2
they cram it in. It's like a companion.
It's just it's floating in there in the middle.
Yep. He thinks that they're aperture science from Portal.
Pretty much.
They're companion cubes. It's not like that, but it's definitely there. Now, what they do is they sell that. It's illegal to profit from the sale of selling fetuses and stuff. But what they do is they take donations from the companies they're selling to, then give them the stuff free, which is definitely selling. Like that's clearly illegal. They've been caught doing this. Like there's videos you can see them doing it. Like, hey, give us the money and then we'll give you that. Just don't say that we sold it to you, even though we are. Other things Planned Parenthood's been caught doing is helping underage women get abortions and like telling people how to lie to get people abortions. They've been caught helping helping sex traffickers force underage girls to get abortions against their will and stuff like that. Like there's been a lot of crazy shit with Planned Parenthood with just like trying to get abortions for everybody and like the whole like selling the fetuses and all that shit that's like clearly illegal. People have been caught on tape like admitting to some of these crimes and like nothing happens to them. Like O'Keefe's caught quite a few Planned Parenthood videos that like you look at it and you're like clearly that's violating the law and people don't care. They just we have to ignore it because Planned Parenthood's good.
If you watch the last 10 minutes of part one, you'd know my stance on abortions. I'm for abortion, but I think that we should defund Planned Parenthood without doubt because I don't think we should fund anyone, to be honest. I think if someone wants an operation, they should be able to pay the cost of the operation.
It also it's really stupid when like the government gets involved in these operations and shit because then it like makes like when the government gets involved with it, it makes everything so then nobody wants to like investigate the shit. Like abortion is the weirdest thing because it actually has a decent amount of regulations, but nobody enforces the regulations because it's such a controversial subject. And the biggest thing is that most abortions are done at like Planned Parenthood and stuff, which get funded by government. So nobody wants to go and like expose the like crimes in abortion places. Like they violate so many laws, but nobody's going to go against them. Like there was this man, Hermit Gosnell or whatever, and he's like been accused of like, he's actually America's like largest known serial killer. He's killed thousands of babies. He did late term abortions, partial birth abortions, and a bunch of other stuff that was illegal. People actually like reported him multiple times to authorities and nobody wanted to investigate it because it was an abortion thing and nobody wants to get involved in that like political bullshit because the whole thing is because it's tied up with government. Now, if some private company that provided abortions was doing something like that, that wasn't getting funding from government, if it was just like some like if all abortions were just private clinics, I think more people would be like actually trying to look into different things that the clinics are doing. But the whole thing is that a lot of them are just done through through government, and then nobody wants to investigate the things because if you attack it, you're attacking that whole organization. Then people will scream that you're anti-women and that you want to force them to like have babies after they've been raped. That's another thing. Less than 1% of abortions are for rape or incest, according to the people who write for the reason of getting an abortion. And people always try to claim that like that's a big thing. Like, oh well, what about women who are raped? Like it's like that really doesn't happen. There are very many reasons why, but when a woman gets raped, there's very little chance she will get pregnant. Now, I can go of a few things. I don't want to get too much in detail, but one, many rapists use a condom because they don't want to get caught. Not all of them, but many will. Two, stress reduces the risk of getting pregnant by a lot. Three, the woman can take a morning after pill. Four, even on a woman's most fertile day, she's something like 15 to 20% likely to get pregnant. Like it's not like 100%. So even if you pick her on the best day of the month, it's like 20%, and then any of those other things is going to reduce the risk even more. So like if the person wears a condom and then on not a good day, or it's very unlikely to get pregnant from a single situation of even normal sex of dom. It doesn't happen very often. Now, it is possible. There are cases where it does happen. but everybody tries to make it seem
Funny
like
because like back in like sex ed, they taught you like if your uncovered penis touches an uncovered vagina, that's like an instant kid.
yep. They
No,
also
no,
teach
no
you
ejaculation necessary. There can be like pre-cum stuck onto like the tip of your penis that just flies in there like a fighter jet and impregnates that bitch.
it is possible to get pregnant from pre-cum, but it's like negative. Like it's super unlikely. Like there maybe been like 2 kids from pre-cum ever. Like it's
Pretty much.
ridiculously unlikely. And another thing they teach you in sex ed, they'll teach you like if you have sex, then you'll get like STDs and stuff. When like things like herpes get spread even if you use condoms because they're just like skin to skin contacts and you have herpes around your area, you can still get it. And herpes is spread pretty easily. But things like AIDS is actually like basically non-infectious. You want to bring up the chart of
This one I
bring up that thing of they're like you literally can't get AIDS. Let me bring up the.
Where are you putting it?
I'm googling the thing. God, I can't find that link. I gotta open up my water.
This doesn't make for a good podcast. What
yeah,
are we doing?
I know. Just it's something like if you have sex with a woman who has AIDS, you have something like 1 in like 68 out of like 10,000 chance to get like HIV even if she has it.
All right, we're working on this, but basically the idea is it's impossible to get AIDS unless you're a gay man who's being fucked in the ass or you're a woman.
And even then, it's super unlikely.
Still unlikely. That's the only way it's even like remotely likely. Where he's typing away hard. He's looking.
I can't find that link. I thought I had it bookmarked.
These are the things that Prefix has bookmarked.
It's because it comes up a lot about in topics about. All right, here's the link there if you want to bring it up. The CDC.gov. I don't have it bookmarked. I was looking all I could find was like FBI bookmarks. Like
Here we go.
So per 10,000 exposures, here's like the rate. Now this is assuming the person has AIDS. So if the person has AIDS and you put your penis in her vagina, I guess it's 4 out of 10,000 if she has AIDS. And if a woman's taking a penis, it's 8 out of 10,000. Now, if you're sticking it in a person's ass, it's 11 out of 10,000. And if you're taking it in the ass, it's 138 out of 10,000. Like it's super rare to get it from a single act. The only people who really get it from partners are people who have absurd amount of partners or people who like have sex with somebody like 1,000,000 times that has it.
Also here it says throwing bodily fluids, including semen or saliva. Facials won't give you AIDS, no matter what. Pretty much.
It is possible to.
It's possible, but it's negligible.
Yeah, like a 1 in a trillion or something. Now there are other things you can catch from that though, but like AIDS specifically is something. The needle stick thing is something you always hear like rumors of. Like if people don't know, Eazy-E, who was a faggot, got AIDS because he took it in the ass from people, and some like people who like defend his stuff say like, "Oh nah, dude, here's what happened. Suge Knight stabbed him with an AIDS needle, and that got him AIDS." It's like, well, if you look at the rate here, 23 out of 10,000, they got stuck by a needle that had AIDS. Also, where the fuck was Suge Knight getting a needle with AIDS blood on it? Was he just like going around like, does anybody know that somebody has AIDS? I'm gonna go get this needle, stab it, and then inject it into
$40 to whoever has AIDS and lets me stab them.
For people who don't know about Suge Knight, he like beat the shit out of people in public before, like multiple times. Like people were scared of the guy. Like he wouldn't just go through all that much trouble to like do that. He could have just like killed him. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Suge Knight's killed like 30 people.
Now, the big thing, the only way it's actually like very likely to give you AIDS is through a blood transfusion. This is why a lot of gay people get turned away from blood transfusions or blood donations.
Yeah, because if I could bring that other one up, people with HIV, if I can find that.
It's disparate. It's not more gays with AIDS than like straight people, but it's
It
just.
is actually,
Is it more?
yes, but a lot more. Here's a link here. MSN is men who have sex with men. They don't actually call it gay because people are less likely to admit to being gay than to say they have sex with men for some reason. Now, in the article, it says men who have sex with men make up an estimated 2% of the population. Now, bisexuals are counted in here. So, if you look at the HIV rates, now, black men who have sex with men are 11,000 here, white men who have sex with men, 9,000, Hispanic, Latino men who have sex with men, and then women basically can't get it from a woman though. Like it's super ridiculously hard, especially if you're a white woman with a white woman, because the biggest thing about these is people with higher rates of homosexuality and people who are more likely to be in things like prison are much more likely to get AIDS because like rape and stuff in prison. So Hispanics and blacks are much more likely to catch AIDS. Blacks are more likely to be gay than whites. Whites are actually one of the lowest rate for likely to be gay, which is kind of weird there. Asians, I think, are about tied with Hispanics. I had a chart showing things before, but I don't know what the link was to it. So, like, all the people who get AIDS are pretty much like gays. Now, gays are 2% of the population, yet look at all these people who, and it's all men who have sex with men. And when women get it, it's usually from bisexual men as well.
I think the takeaway from this chart is that MSM, the mainstream media, has AIDS.
Yep.
All right. This is something that I wanted to do a while ago, but we got super off topic. You want to do that?
Oh, now like gays can donate blood and shit, which they don't actually screen like all the blood and stuff for things like AIDS, which is ridiculous. Like letting gays donate blood is something that's kind of dangerous.
Well, when I was donating blood, they had like you fill out a questionnaire, and if you've had sex with like a man or like a male prostitute, or like if you have sex with a male prostitute another 4 times, like if you said yes, they just like turn you away there. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
now they can't turn people away though.
When did this go into effect?
Like I think like a year or two ago.
I've donated blood this year. Yeah, this year.
Do you know if they would turn you away when you check it?
Yeah, they turn you away.
Huh. Well,
They
I know they used to always do that. Where are you donating blood through? Like what organization?
life serve.
I don't know about that. I know that like I seen a bunch of shit that like gay rights shit was showing up on my like Facebook praising about how they're happy that they can like donate blood now, and it's like okay, that's really not that good because they don't scan. Like, I'm assuming if somebody admits to being gay, they probably do more like they might test those ones, but like I find that really weird that they would like let that because they don't have time to test all those blood samples unless they're just only testing like the gay things.
Yeah. They do some testing right up front where I think they test your hemoglobin levels, and I think that has something to do with some sort of disease that like you'd have lower hemoglobin levels if you had this disease. I don't know if it's like AIDS or HIV or what.
And a lot of those diseases also that like you could have them in different stages and they might not show up on tests. Like blood transfusions are a little dangerous for more than just AIDS or for other diseases. And one thing the like gay community has is there's a lot of gay people who like have a lot of sex with people that have diseases that like they don't even know what the diseases are. And because they have so many diseases, they like can't even try to figure out or isolate what the specific disease is or what the symptoms are. Like,
Yeah, so I don't think gays should be allowed to donate blood. It's just too much of a risk, and I'm not even a guy who's against gays. I think it's common sense that we shouldn't allow gays, especially with those numbers, especially when they're 2% of the population. Well, actually, that might be
like
kind of off because most people who identify as gay wouldn't identify as gay if they had sex with a man once, but it would count that on the graph that we just pulled up, and I'm pro gay rights and all that, but it's just stupid to allow a population that's 2% that has the majority of the AIDS cases.
that's like one conflicting thing I have about like the gays adopting children. Like, if you look at the like gays and abusing children, and even like the people who adopt children, like gays are so much more likely to like sexually abuse children than like straight couples. And like I've seen a few studies that say that they're not. And what happened to your thing here?
I'm here. Keep going.
Okay, I thought my internet went out again. See, like, there's so much less. They'll say like, oh, they're less likely, and you click the study, and it'll say like, oh, we did a study of like 10 people or something. If you look at like any big studies, there's things showing that like, some are saying like, oh, 20% of like gays or gay children who are people who are adopted by gay couples will abuse children or things like that. And then if you look at like the overall rates, like people who rape children, we know that at least 30% of reported like sex abuse kids are male on male. Like, they say it's like 2/3 on women or something, but like the girl's more likely to report it, and people are more likely to take that seriously. So we don't know if the actual rate's more or less, but like the actual statistics, like 1 out of 3, and that's male on male, is also something like that. So like 2% of the population is getting 30% of the child rapes, and then something like 20 something percent of gays who adopt children will abuse the children at some point in the kid's life. Like, there's like statistics like that. And the only studies that I've seen that contradict that, they'll always just be like, oh, we followed these people for 2 years, and we tested like small sample size. Any study I've seen that's like big sample size where they like look at kids who've been with gay couples, even if they weren't like adopted, like somebody like one parent leaves and then goes to like men or something, that the kid's super likely to be like abused by either one of the parents or by one of their friends. Because another problem in the gay community is they don't have monogamy very often. Even gays who get married don't have monogamy. Like, that's not a big thing with them. Like, they'll cheat on each other, or have like threesomes or like orgies and 79 sums or whatever. Like, they have a bunch of these people around the kids, and if you have like hundreds of people who are going around kids, some of the people might, want to do something. And a lot of the people who are gay or have sex with men, a lot of the people might not be gay per se, but it's people who are like just sexual deviants. They'll just do like anything to get off. And I think that that's what a lot of the like child abuse things are, and that's why a lot of the things are like the gays, because the people who are abused kids are the people who are just going around having sex with anything, and that's including men, and then they're getting around children and stuff who are like with those gays, and that's why kids with like gays are getting abused. And like, I have a problem with that, because like at one hand I'm thinking like, well, anybody should be able to adopt kids whenever they want, but then like the statistics are like extremely high for like gays who adopt kids, for the kid to be like abused and things like that. So like there's kind of like there's no winning answer for that. Like, I believe in some state intervention for those things.
Let's go ahead and get back to the Donald Trump abortion Planned Parenthood thing. We'll talk about this thing I highlighted. By the way, someone says my room is messy. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no mess anywhere. That's just stuff I'm using on the table there. Not here where my hand is covering. There we go. See, nothing's messy.
So about like Hillary Clinton claiming Donald Trump says he wants to punish women who get abortions.
Yep. The background to this is was it Chris Matthews he was
Yeah, Chris
Chris
Matthews.
Matthews. He was in an interview with Chris Matthews, and Chris Matthews asked him, if abortion was illegal, do you think there should be a punishment for women who get abortions? Obviously, if you're going to have something illegal that has no punishment, it's not really illegal. That's like saying, hey, you're not allowed to speed, and then you speed, you go to court, and they find you guilty of speeding, and then they do nothing about it. Well, I'm just going to speed again. I don't care. There's no punishment for it. And so it's really not even illegal. You have to have a punishment for the law. Now he said he doesn't know what the punishment would be. So it could be like $100 fine, could be life in prison, could be a slap on the wrist, could be really serious. But he says there has to be a punishment to enforce the law, and that's true of any law, not just abortion.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where also Chris Matthews kept like shouting out random questions of different topics, and then he got onto abortion, and then he was just like saying that, and then Trump was like, well, I'm personally against abortion and stuff, and then then he like asked like Chris, well, what do you think? Like, aren't you a Catholic? What do you think? And then he's like, whoa, I'm not on trial here. Why are you asking me my position? Like, well, you're asking me these questions and saying like I need to figure out what a punishment should be. What do you think should happen? The guy's like, whoa, I'm not running for president. It was like the same thing when like Chris Matthews, was it Chris Matthews who was interviewing Gary Johnson on the Aleppo thing too?
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking that because I was picturing my head of just like shutting up random topics. Then he gets over that and then just, goes like, oh, we got to go into like this topic now. And then Gary Johnson's like, oh, wait, what's that? And I'm sure like Gary Johnson probably knew what Aleppo was. He just wasn't like thinking about it. Like I'm pretty sure if you told him like that place in Syria.
No, that was the Aleppo thing was on MSNBC with Chuck Todd, I think. What you're thinking about with Chris Matthews is name one world leader you admire.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. The world leader. He's shouting off stuff and then the world leader thing, which like again, that's kind of like it was a topic that just caught him by surprise, and also like I don't understand like with questions like that where you have to praise somebody else. Like I would just be like, I don't really like any world leaders right now. I mean, like I like some people that are kind of like up there. I would call them leaders, but like Nigel Farage, he's not really a leader, but I mean I guess Nigel Farage, I put him up there. I would say I don't know. I somewhat respect Vladimir Putin. I don't like a lot of the policies in Russia, but I like Vladimir Putin as a person. I think he's a strong leader. I think what I like about Putin is he does what's good for his people. He really tries to do the best thing for Russia. And like it's ridiculous that America is like America and Europe are the only places which don't worry about themselves. They try to do the best for everybody other than themselves. I find that retarded. And that's what I like about Putin. He's the only white leader who cares about his country. Like Angela Merkel was up with a bunch of leaders in like Europe and stuff, and some person walked up and brought her like a German flag and handed it to her, and she like got like an angry face, then went and like threw the flag down, and like that's like fucking, oh my god, like I can't believe like that she did that. Like it pissed me off. I'm not German. I don't give a shit about the German flag. But you think of it as the leader of your country just takes your flag, just like throws it down, and is like mad that you handed it to her when like everybody else has their flag for the nation. Like she hates her country. Merkel hates Germany. She hates white people. She thinks that like white people should be like mad that they're white and that we need to like destroy all Western society to make life better for refugees. Like that's the type of fucking psychotic shit that people on the left do. And that's what I hate about like fucking like politics these days is nobody will just go up and say like I'm gonna do the best thing for my country. Fuck the rest of the thing. And that's why Donald Trump's popular. Because people want somebody to go out there and say, I'm going to worry about us. Then people are like, oh, well, what about these other countries that need our help? Like, well, first we worry about us. We can help other people, but first priority is us. We're not going to fucking murder ourselves to worry about fucking other nations. A president has to worry about his people, not other people, his people. His people are his first responsibility. We are the bosses to our politicians. We elected them. They should be serving us. They shouldn't be serving fucking third world shitholes. They shouldn't be giving all of our stuff to like random immigrants from countries that they've never been here. We're just like paying money to bring them to us and then give them free shit. And like none of the Republicans will stop this either. Like I blame the Republicans just as much as the Democrats because the Republicans won't stop them. And when Armin gets back, I have a pretty big thing with Marco Rubio I want to bring up. But now I think that's pretty much that whole Chris Matthews and the other thing of Hillary's like lie where she was like saying Donald Trump said it should be illegal. He never said that. He said like it was asked if it was illegal, hypothetical. If it were, would there be a punishment? He's like, I guess so. I don't know what the punishment would be. I have to think about it. So clearly he wasn't like, saying I'm gonna punish women. Which is what Hillary claimed he said. Now the media is probably gonna like go ahead and fact check that and say Donald Trump's a liar or whatever, even though he's completely in the right. He didn't lie. Hillary did, but no, nobody's gonna give a shit about that. So about that, let's move on to the next topic. Hillary Clinton said like 10 people who've handled nukes or something said Trump can't be trusted. And those 10 people are the same people who've been handling our Middle East conflicts in the last 2 decades. How's that working out for them? You trust these people? They've been turning everything into a fucking disaster. And Hillary's praising the fuck out of these 10 people and then ignoring how there's like 200 something generals out there endorsing Trump. And they're like, yeah, we're not getting listened to. They're tying our hands behind our back. And then she said 17 intelligence agencies like agreed with her hacks that they were from Putin. I didn't know we had 17 intelligence agencies. I don't even think we do. I definitely haven't heard about any intelligence agencies blaming Putin for the attack. I'd like to see these 17 intelligence agencies that I don't think we have. And also, if they're saying Putin's behind it, are they saying this publicly? Is this public information? Because it kind of seems like if this were true, which I don't think it is she leaking information from their investigations to the public? I'm just thinking she just made up that whole shit, though. I don't think anybody's out there saying Putin's behind it. I don't even know if Putin is behind it. I think Putin has hacked her emails.
We have 16 agencies.
Yeah, we have 16, but I don't think all of them are running right now. And a lot of them are like duplicates. They're saying like 3 were like naval intelligence organizations with slightly different names. I think they've replaced each other. So like more organizations than we have are saying Russia did it. So that's why it's serious.
Yep.
But I haven't heard any of these people coming out. It's like the same thing when months ago, Hillary Clinton campaign said that ISIS was using Donald Trump to recruit people to ISIS, which was a complete lie. And you know who they are using to recruit? Bill Clinton, George Bush, George Bush Sr., our other past presidents. They're not using Donald Trump in any of their videos. They haven't used Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, as far as I know. But they have used Bill Clinton, her husband. I don't know how, nobody in the media called her out on that. It's like, you say that, but it's actually your husband that's getting charged with this, not Trump. Like, you can look up online, like ISIS propaganda on YouTube. You'll probably find the video. Bill Clinton is used in them. I don't know what Armin's doing. I guess he is eating.
I am professional. Wouldn't do that.
So then, I wanted to mention the Marco Rubio thing.
See, I'm not eating.
Can you bring up the Marco Rubio video as well? Don't play it yet, but here's a link to it. So Marco Rubio came out recently, and he was saying, "Oh, Republicans shouldn't care about WikiLeaks because what if we get exposed in the future?" He told people basically ignore WikiLeaks exposing Hillary's corruption. because they might expose his corruption in the future. That's literally like what he's saying.
That's
And you know,
me off.
yeah, my response to that is good. I want them to expose the corruption. Get these fucking Marco Rubios out of my party. I don't want these corrupt pieces of shit in my party. That's why we want Trump. Now play that video.
America. So let's start with something.
Turn it way up. Rewind it and turn it way up.
God
7
damn.
seconds or whatever.
Okay, don't talk during this. I'm going to turn my speakers up really high. All right, here we go.
More people to support this cause because this election is so critical for the future of America. So let's start with something that I think every one of us would agree with.
Jews and Freemasons.
I think you can.
Stop it! Don't talk. I told you not to talk.
You finished it.
I turned my speakers up really loud.
Oh. All right. Well, I think we all can agree on that. Does anybody have any disagreement to that?
Nope.
That we all agree on it. So Marco Rubio, though, literally came out saying, don't worry about Hillary's corruption because it might expose us. Like, how can somebody say that? Like, isn't that an admission that he's a corrupt piece of shit?
Pretty much.
Like, he's saying, I wouldn't want Hillary to expose mine. So, you know, if you like corruption, Marco Rubio is a great bet. Also, Marco Rubio had a lot of fucking shady shit.
The people who are going to, like, vote for their party, no matter who it is. And I think those people are completely retarded. I wouldn't vote for Marco Rubio for shit.
Yeah, I would seriously not even vote if it was Hillary versus Rubio. If they literally have the same policies. They would do the exact same thing. The only thing is that Marco Rubio would be slightly less bad, but then people would blame Republicans for things that Marco Rubio is doing.
I definitely
really
prefer Hillary in the White House.
Yeah, I honestly would, because then I could at
That
least.
way we can blame it on the Democrats and not the fucking Democrats. And
I really hate like when I have like when I try to like talk to liberals or something, and then they'll just be like, oh, well, you know, like George Bush Sr. He's endorsing Hillary, so Trump doesn't have his party support. Like, I hate George Bush. I hate George Bush Sr. I hate all the Bush family. Why do liberals love the Bushes so much now that the Bushes all endorsed Hillary?
I like Jeb Bush, but I feel like bad for him, and that's the only reason I like him.
I do feel bad for Jeb.
I want him to like go and like win something. Go to a Chinese restaurant, and win like a free lunch today.
He's a little autistic brother who just really wanted to be president. And
yeah,
he really wanted it. Like you could tell he really wanted
president. All right. What?
I will say though, I think the biggest reason that the Bushes did endorse Hillary, which you already knew that they were in the tank for Hillary, but the only reason that I think they actually endorsed Hillary was because in that GOP debate in like North Carolina, where he's just like, I fucking hate the Bush family. Your brother was a piece of shit. He caused this war. Your brother did that. Your dad caused like the war that started the wars in the Middle East. Your brother continued them. Like fuck the Bush family. And that was like a point where like all the pundits thought that Trump was gonna like die out there. They're like, in North Carolina, a heavy Republican state where George Bush is popular, Donald Trump spends like 20 minutes of a debate ranting about how bad the Bushes were. Like everybody thought that was it. And like if you look at it today, if you're like just look at it back, like at that time I was just thinking like, yeah, fuck yeah, I hate the Bushes. But look at it now, like holy shit, like he was pretty hardcore attacking the Bushes, like really hard on Jeb, and like I feel bad for Jeb when I look back at all that. Like Jeb got hit so hard.
Jeb Bush to begin with. I actually defended Jeb Bush a lot from people because they're like, oh, we don't want another Bush in office. But that's not like an attack on his credentials. Like that's an attack on just like some arbitrary thing you made up where you don't want people with the same last name being in office.
Well, there is like somewhat of a thing there though, because like you know the Kennedys are pretty popular with like a lot of like independents and liberals, but then they're like super unpopular with Republicans, and many of them for like good reason. Like there's like I'd always say like people always say like, oh, never trust a Kennedy because like the Kennedys are all like backstabbers and shit, and the Kennedys did have a lot of political influence, and a lot of people believe, and there's a lot of evidence that the Kennedys did rig the election against Nixon in what was it, 64 or 68? What was it when Kennedy beat JFK?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm terrible with dates.
But LBJ was picked as vice president because he had a lot of corrupt connections in Texas, which like people have already acknowledged that he'd rigged local elections in Texas, and a lot of people believe the reason Illinois and Texas were for JFK was because the Kennedys and LBJ did rig like those states, and I don't doubt that the Bushes have a lot of influence in like rigging a few states as well, and I don't doubt that Hillary Clinton's got more than we know of in many states. Like a lot of connected families on both sides are trying to like get as much fraud for their party and their side to get more power. Like the presidency is too important for people to just like say like it's okay if we lose. Like people have things to lose and gain out of who gets in office, so they really like rig things a lot. And Marco Rubio doesn't have much family connections, so he kind of has to suck his way up and work the way up the ladder. And you saw him do that in Florida, where he'd run, when he started running, he was the Tea Party candidate. He was against immigration. And as soon as he got into like office, he completely flipped and just did everything all the elites told him to do. And, he was trying to work his way up. And how did they reward him? Florida got changed to winner take all for the GOP primary. That was supposed to benefit Marco Rubio. What happened? Marco Rubio lost every county except his home state or his home city. So Donald Trump won every other place in Florida. And it helped Trump. And it was also pretty transparent that they changed it to help Rubio, so people got pissed off at Rubio about it. Even though Rubio probably didn't do it, but people were doing it to reward Rubio for past deeds. And that's how politics works. A lot of times, even if a person doesn't do things, people will do things for a person who does things for them. They don't have to say, we're going to do this for you. You do them a favor, they do you a favor. That's how shit works. Donald Trump's like openly admitted that he like donated to politicians because he didn't want them to fuck with him and he might need favors in the future. Like he said that in the like primary debates. People try to attack him on that. He's like, I've donated to all of you guys up here too. What, are you gonna call me out and say that I bribed you? That you took my bribe and did things for me? Is that what you're gonna say? No, they're not gonna say that. Like that's how politics works. People will give. Stop eating like that.
I'm not eating.
That's how politics works, though. Everybody's fucking corrupt. Everybody's a piece of shit. And Donald Trump's the guy who's been paying the corrupt politicians. He is the guy who's a good person to stop this shit because he is somebody who doesn't want to have to pay money to politicians. He doesn't want to pay money to the politicians, but he does because they're all corrupt. So if he can stop the corruption, he'll have to pay less money to the politicians. He benefits from reducing corruption.
This is kind of a good segue when we were talking about the whole rigging elections thing. It's kind of a good segue into the Project Veritas thing. You want to like explain like brief history of what it was and what's in the news for recently, and then we can go from there.
All right, so Project Veritas is from James O'Keefe. He does a lot of undercover journalism work, and he exposed a lot of like voter fraud stuff. He's the guy who got Acorn shut down, like for the massive voter fraud and shit in the past. A lot of people know about that. People have discredited him because he's like gone on tape before. Like he'll lie about who he is to people. Like at Planned Parenthood, he told he was a pimp. I forget what he told to like Acorn and shit. So like they tried to get him for fraud. Then he like took some plea deal to get some like lesser charge, and he got like community service or stuff. So now liberals will say like, oh well, he was charged with fraud, so that means all of his videos are fake. When reality, the charge was because they were trying to stop him, and they just needed. My dog just jumped up my bed behind me.
My cat is upstairs. We can't have animal hour.
So like that was just like something they just threw on a bogus charge, and then they just gave him like a plea deal just so they could have something to attack him on. So like liberals will try to say that like his stuff's fake because he was charged with fraud or whatever. It's like that's not what he wasn't charged with, like faking tapes to make people look like criminals. Like, he's never done that. He's also done like a video where he like crossed the Mexican border, shows how easy it is to cross. He does a lot of things like that, and just basic undercover journalism, just exposing corruption. He has gotten a Republican to like resign from a commission that he caught like committing fraud before. So like a lot of liberals are like, oh well, he's just targeting liberals for things. Like, well, he has gotten Republicans like to actually drop out of races before. It's just that most often it's Democrats committing these crimes, so he's mainly going after them. Like he's caught Bernie Sanders supporters doing some stuff, and he's caught not Hillary Clinton supporters. Well, he has gotten Hillary Clinton supporters, but he's gotten like Hillary Clinton like organizations, like super PACs and shit, committing fraud for her. Bernie Sanders stuff was just rogue voters doing little voter fraud. Hillary Clinton's is election fraud. The difference there is that it's like massive amounts of people going around like getting a bunch of like fake ballots and stuff registered and getting fake votes. Well, voter fraud's just like a person going and voting in 3 cities or whatever. Like that's what like Bernie supporters did, was like a little voter fraud thing. Bernie didn't have fucking connections with super PACs that would like go around doing stuff. Now some people have resigned from these O'Keefe's videos, and what's pretty great is the WikiLeaks coming out at the same time as the Veritas videos. People have like followed the lines of WikiLeaks of these people that have been exposed in the O'Keefe videos, and it's pretty damning. And some of these people have gone on fucking O'Keefe's videos bragging, yeah, we've been rigging these elections for 50 years and stuff, and nobody does anything about it. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody's like, everything in the media is just saying like, oh, Donald Trump's claiming the election's rigged. Well, this is dangerous rhetoric. No, you know what's fucking dangerous? The fact that the media is covering up the fucking blatant like lies from Hillary Clinton's campaign and the blatant fucking voter fraud that happens. Like, the media is dangerous. They're telling people this doesn't happen. And people believe it, not because they trust the media, but because people want to believe that their vote is counted. People don't want to believe that their vote doesn't count. That's something people really, really hold on to, is that, like, at least I can vote these people in power, so maybe next time I'll get a nice guy. But their votes aren't getting counted a lot of the time.
You know what I really hate?
What?
The question that everyone got angry at Trump for, the are you going to accept the results of the election if you lose? And he's like, well, we'll see when we get there. What? Why is that even a question you're asking? What's he gonna do other than accept the fact? Is he gonna like go up there and when like Hillary's being sworn in, hand on the Bible, he's just gonna put his hand on top of hers like they're like putting their hands in like some team thing? No, he's not. He's gonna accept it. Is he gonna throw a revolution? There's nothing he can do. I don't get why the question's asked.
Well, what they mean is like, are you gonna like get mad about the thing and just be like, oh, I got rigged and the thing got stolen, or like complain that you lost or something? Which like you should, like, if they're like, oh, are you gonna be happy you lost? You know what? I'm gonna give her a hug and say you should be president. In fact, I think you're a better president than I am. I think you're way better than I am.
Abandoning of your values. He said so much stuff about her that he's pointed out her bad judgments. Like Bernie Sanders pointed out her bad judgments, and then he took a plane ride as a bribe for an endorsement. Illegal, by the way. He took a plane ride for a bribe for an endorsement.
It's a small crime, though. It's not like a major crime.
He threw away his entire principle. That's what pisses me off there.
I think he was going to endorse her anyways, but the plane ride was just something that, like, he was going to endorse her just because he wants to do better in his, like, Senate race. And the whole thing is there.
If, let's say Ben Carson, if Ben Carson didn't endorse, or Ben Carson said he'd endorse Donald Trump, I don't mind that. Ben Carson and Donald Trump seem to get along. They seem to be like pretty close to each other now, and they talk a lot for like strategy and shit. But if he endorsed Donald Trump after he lost, perfectly fine with that. They don't seem diametrically opposed. But Bernie Sanders was completely opposed to Hillary Clinton, and so that's why I'm angry that he said, like, I'll endorse her for a plane
ride. If Trump endorsed Jeb Bush, I would be a little bit up. I'd be like a safe upset. Like, that would be like.
I'm not angry at Martin O'Malley. He seems like a basic bitch Democrat. I don't care that he endorsed Hillary Clinton. If he did, I don't even know if he did.
He probably did.
Probably.
I know Jim Webb didn't. Jim Webb said he'd prefer Trump over Hillary, which I really respect that of him.
I like Jim Webb. Jim Webb's a pretty good
Like
guy.
if you look at his policies, he's pretty like left wing on like economics, but like he's not like one of these people who's like free welfare for everybody. Like he's kind of like one of those older like liberals that like you know like the working class liberals that were kind of like just like they were probably he probably like would have been like one of those voters for Reagan, even though he's a Democrat type of people that like they had a lot of liberal values, but they still like they weren't retarded like all these people, like all those Bernie supporters who were like, we should like destroy America and give it to Muslims. Like he wasn't like them. Like he actually stood up for what he thought was right. Like he even mentioned like things like guns, which in the Democratic Party that's somewhat unpopular, even though Democratic voters over 50% of them support guns. But Martin O'Malley would brag about his F rating and got applause, and then like like Hillary Clinton's like, I got like an F from the NRA, and then Martin O'Malley's like, well, I got like a double F, I got a triple F, I got so low a thing that they gave me an X. They made up a new letter. I got a Batman symbol. Like he just like he like went onto a thing, and then like you look at Jim Webb, and he's like, listen, like okay, yeah, people do things. But you have Hillary Clinton up here who has armed bodyguards 24/7 saying you can't protect your children, but she can protect herself with armed guards. Like he called her out on that. Now that's an unpopular like position in his party, and he had it. And that's why I feel like he was a genuine person.
It was really unpopular. Like even there, I think he got boozed, didn't he?
I don't know if he got boozed, but like I know it like didn't do well. Where like I bet like the average Democrat voter wouldn't have really cared much about his stance, but like the people who like vote in the primaries are like more liberal than like the Democrats who vote in the general. So like you know the base are super anti-gun, and that's like what a lot of those debates in the primary are for. Like, if you look at the primaries for the Republican candidates, they're always like, I agree with the NRA on everything. And then when they get to the general, they're just like, oh, I think we need more things. When even the NRA, I'm somebody like, if I was running for president, the NRA I'd be disagreeing with a few issues because they've compromised on a few things. They'd be like rating me as like, this guy's too extreme. His like baby should be allowed to own tanks is like too much. And I'm like, well, I don't see why they shouldn't be allowed to.
Too extreme for the NRA.
Yeah, I would be too extreme for the NRA. But like that's how things work. Like he actually took positions that were somewhat unpopular with his party, even though it like would hurt him. Because I actually think he was somebody who stuck to his principles. And Bernie Sanders was like the guy who the liberals always claimed was so consistent. He was their Ron Paul, and then he sold out and endorsed. I knew he was going to endorse her the whole time, and I knew he was like gonna like just be a complete faggot about it and just endorse her and just ignore all the things. And he made such a huge deal about we can't let corporations control our politicians and all these super PACs are bad and stuff. When during the primary, he actually spent more super PAC money than Hillary. She raised more, but hers saved for the general. Like her super PACs didn't spend much on the primary, but Bernie Sanders had that like a nurse super PAC that also illegally coordinated with a few times. But WikiLeaks has showed Hillary's illegally coordinating with like Correct the Record and shit, but nobody cares about that.
All right, let's get back to Project Veritas. Do you want to like explain what came out, what we know now because of these Project Veritas videos?
So we know that Hillary's super PACs, which they've admitted that they have word from Hillary to do this, and that they collaborate with her illegally or with their campaign. They go through a chain of command. They do like a bunch of, I talk to this guy, he talks to that guy. This guy's a consultant for us and for them, but he's not employed by either one. We just consult him and pay him, but he's not employed by us. So he works for both companies, but he's employed. Like they go through a whole chain. They even like blatantly like brag about committing crimes. Like, oh, we pay homeless people and mentally disturbed people to go to Trump rallies and like stage things and all that other crap. Like they're committing violence. I bet that these all these recent Trump campaign offices that are getting attacked, I don't doubt that these are from like the Hillary super PACs that like the same ones that like Project Veritas is exposing. Like I don't doubt that's from them.
Here's something that I thought Trump did a terrible job on during the debate. He mentioned the Project Veritas thing once. He's like, we have you on tape saying this. You can't deny this. And she just kind of laughed it off and then dodged it completely. You should have fucking drilled the shit out of her on that.
Yeah, he
like,
definitely
you're not going to answer the question. You're
Are you
not
going to disavow your
you
super
made a
PACs?
mistake this time, are you, Hillary?
He could have been like, "Can you disavow these super PACs? You're claiming I'm supporting all this these radical agendas." I had to say that are getting people like all fired up.
Hillary?
That you're getting you're saying I'm causing all these violence when your people are out there fucking like assaulting people and literally committing political terrorism.
He should have asked her to disavow herself.
What?
He should have asked her to disavow herself.
He should have. Do you disavow yourself? Like everybody, like every week is trying to say like, well, Donald Trump disavowed this person more than he already has. When like a current fucking Grand Wizard has endorsed Hillary and has donated $20,000 to like Hillary like super PACs and shit, or they've raised $20,000 for her. Like they've endorsed her and said like Donald Trump's not a politician. He's not gonna be able to do our shit. Hillary's gonna support us. And the Hillary Clinton, her family and the Bill Clinton, they have pretty good connections with the KKK. Like if you look up like a lot of the things back during the 90s, Bill Clinton had a lot of support from the Klan when he was in governor of Arkansas or whatever it was. Good connections with the Klan. Hillary Clinton called her mentor, what was that guy's name? Steve Bird or whatever the fuck, somebody Bird.
Robert Byrd.
Yeah, Robert Byrd. He was a he was a leader of a chapter of the KKK. She called him my mentor.
Yeah, he was her mentor.
Yep, her mentor. He was in the KKK. Well, why doesn't anybody say disavow him? David Duke left the KKK in the 80s because he said that they were all just like criminals and degenerates and shit. Like he left them. He thought that they were a piece of shit organization. When he was in his 20s, he realized that. Like he was in his 20s, and he's like, yeah, I joined them for a short time. I was like a leader of a small chapter in a small town. I didn't really know what they were, and I left them. Like that's pretty much it. And then he didn't even endorse Trump. He said like, I think Trump's the least bad candidate. And then the media was like, Donald Trump, why are you not disavowing David Duke loud enough? Nobody's talking about the current KKK guy that's endorsing Hillary that's currently in the KKK. Nobody's talking about Robert Byrd with Hillary Clinton, and nobody cares. Everything's about Donald Trump. Like I see Chelsea Clinton go on talk shows and they talk about, what do you think about Donald Trump's treatment of women? What about fucking her dad's treatment of women? Bill Clinton's literally raped people. Hillary Clinton has assaulted, harassed, and threatened women who accused Bill Clinton of rape. Many of the people like left the cities and stuff to get away from the Clintons and like dropped off the grid because they were getting harassed so hard. Some of the people committed suicide. Some of those suicides are pretty questionable. Like when a woman shoots herself in the back of the head by like the streets and shit like that. And when so many people near the Clintons commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head. That's a common theme among people who oppose the Clintons, is they commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head, sometimes more than once.
Yeah. It's funny that they get ruled as suicides when they're in these like convoluted situations. Like this guy drowned himself in his bathtub inside of a duffel bag.
That was locked closed.
On the outside. That was locked closed.
And no finger or footprints found in the bathroom.
This is what he would have to do that. He'd have to have a duffel bag and a lock and the key. he would have to go and as he's walking towards the bathroom, fill it up, wipe all his fingerprints and footprints and all that with like with like a paper towel, and then throw it into the toilet, hop into the bathtub, get into the duffel bag, close it most of the way until like you can just barely put a lock on it from the outside, and then throw out the key and pull it the rest of the way, and then drown yourself in it. That's what you'd have to
Everybody's walking into
do.
the bathroom to like get the fingerprints on the floor. He'd have to be like wiping them behind him, or he'd have to be in the duffel bag sliding forward towards the tub.
Pretty much. And this is like the ridiculous stuff that they get like listed as suicides. And then even recently, there's been a bunch of people who have been like close to Hillary Clinton. Seth Rich, one of them, who was suspected of being the person who leaked all the DNC emails. Oh boy. Yeah, Seth Rich, he was suspected of leaking the DNC emails, and he was a DNC staffer. He actually got suspected.
Killed in a robbery that nothing was stolen in.
Yep.
They didn't even steal his wallet. Like, they put no effort to make it look like a robbery, yet they ruled it as a robbery gone bad. He was shot in the back also. In a robbery, if they're going to shoot the guy, wouldn't they be like shooting him in the face if something like happened? If they're shooting him in the back, isn't that meaning that he's like just standing there? Oh, Hillary's, I saw something the other day. Hillary's doctor who removed her blood clot recently got killed. Suicide.
It was this guy right here. He was a staffer for the DNC, and he got killed by Hillary Clinton, allegedly.
Yeah, we know that people broke into his home and killed him or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the KKK guy, Robert Byrd.
I like the quality of this GIF. It's like made really well. Alrighty, we're done with that.
Hillary's doctor that removed her blood clot recently was like found suicide. I don't know much about it, but there was like 4 people within a month that like from like the DNC and shit that like just like died mysteriously that were like close to the Clintons. And then this was just like a week ago that her doctor died, and a lot of people are thinking like did her doctor know something about like any of her other medical issues? Because he was the guy who removed the blood clot from her brain. If he was her doctor, he probably knew more things. And were they scared of stuff coming out or what? Like, it's ridiculous that like, you know, people just say a lot of this stuff's conspiracy theory, but like when you look at the WikiLeaks stuff, you see all the shit that like that they're doing. Like, I would always tell people that like you see these same protesters on like YouTube. You see like Carl Lecoq and stuff going around to all these protests, and like, how are they getting all this money to travel around to all these protests and stuff? Like, people will spawn at multiple places.
Multiple protests? I've only seen him once.
Yeah, he was at like 3.
Were they in the same area?
No.
I didn't know this.
There was also some chick that was at like 2 as well. That like they found like far apart, and like Trigglypuff was at a couple as well. I remember the comments on like one of the Trigglypuff things was like, it must cost Soros a fortune shipping her around to like every rally. Like there's a like they see some of these people going like multiple things where like you'd think they'd just be hiring new people for them, but like so like a lot of people are speculating that like George Soros is behind this shit, and like we see these Hillary Clinton super PACs behind this stuff, and we know George Soros is funding these. He's like funding all these organizations. So like we don't know if George Soros is orchestrating it, but we know George Soros has a lot of connections with Hillary. There was an email he sent like a while ago about something in the Middle East. He's like, I want this guy in charge, and this is the outcome I want for this conflict. Within 24 hours, that guy was given like control of like their like little mission thing, and got the outcome he wanted. 24 hours of him sending an email to Hillary Clinton. That's pretty ridiculous.
I'm trying to find like the high quality shit posts about Bird and Hillary, but I can't find any.
What with like all the elaborate shit, like the Minecraft one.
I was looking for the Minecraft one. Yeah, okay, I can't find it.
I can't find it right now either.
Okay. You want to move on? We have
Yeah.
like only like small things left. Do you want to just do them like really rapid fire and end it?
Oh, I want to talk about these things right here. We can just go over a few of these little things. Hillary Clinton, when like they were talking about like the refugees and stuff and securing the border, then Hillary Clinton's like defense was like, well, it's not just refugees. You know that Orlando shooter, he was born in America and his parents were like refugees or something. So once
Great.
born here
Now
are
the
shit
refugees
too.
we bring into our country are just going to be ticking time
And that's
bombs.
literally worse.
They're going to reproduce terrorists. They're not terrorists themselves. Why would we do anything about them?
It was literally worse. Like I put it in our notes as refugees are not bad, but like Muslims are just as bad. Like all Muslims are shit, not just refugees. Hillary Clinton, 2K16.
You don't have to be born in fucking Iran to do terrorism. If you're Muslim, you can be a terrorist.
And then she like mentioned like everybody in the last 40 years has like released tax returns or whatever. And like Nixon in like 68 didn't release his tax returns. He released them once he was already president. So like it was like 40 years ago that like everybody after Nixon released them, but like it wasn't really a tradition until Nixon. They made a big deal about it with Nixon, and then after Nixon, which he released them for his second term, like before that, everybody after that, and I've heard this from both Stefan Molyneux and from Rush Limbaugh, that the whole reason that they require, well, it's not required, but like the media basically harasses you to release your tax returns is because it benefits establishment politicians who have been in like their politics their whole life because they're going to design their tax returns to look a specific way. Where like a businessman, he's going to try to like make his tax returns and make it like look like he's trying to like invest it as much as possible and write off everything he can. Where the politician's just trying to make it look squeaky clean. The politician is just trying to like, this is what I make, here's what I pay. The business guy's like, well, I'm gonna try to write off all the as much as I can because I'm trying to like make my business better. The business guy is getting fucked over. The politician, he already knows that he's gonna have to be releasing this stuff if he like doesn't want the media to attack him. So he's gonna spend his whole life
to like attack someone for that. Like, hey, you're not giving us all the money that you're not required to, you asshole.
Yeah.
Like, who would give? Okay, would you like be like, okay, I'm doing my taxes today. Looks like I owe the IRS $20,000 here. I think the IRS has been pretty good this year. Let's make that $25,000.
It would actually be illegal for Trump's businesses to pay more taxes than they're legally required to. His stockholders and like his shareholders, they would sue him if he was like not writing off expenses.
Yeah, you do have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders to maximize your profits.
Yeah.
That's like the thing with Martin Shkreli. Like, if he didn't sell the medication at that price, he would have like been sued by his shareholders for like running his company into the ground and not making as much money as he possibly could.
Also, about the Martin Shkreli thing, he didn't actually increase the price of it very much. It wasn't an AIDS drug. It was for people who have AIDS that have a specific disease that affects people with AIDS. Like, it was a very small amount of things. And what he did is, like, he was trying to get it, like, pushed around more. It was very small produced. He spent a lot of the money getting it produced more and getting it through, like, more trials and stuff. And then he actually got it so, like, your copay would actually be lower, like, if on the new thing. Like, the insurance was covering the whole thing. Which is kind of bullshit that they're shifting the whole cost off the insurance. But that's the problem with the whole medical industry is that they charge you more if you have insurance. And he was like offloading all the costs to the insurance, which is completely legal to do. Only in insurance for medical. You couldn't do that with cars. Like if I was gonna say, hey Armin, $50 to change your oil, and then you're like, hey, my insurance covers that, and then you mark that off to your insurance, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna charge you $1 million to change your oil. Your fucking insurance company would sue me. They wouldn't give me $1 million.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens when that literally that is what happens.
But like
with like medication.
Yeah, he moved his like cost off to like the insurance and stuff, and people like he made it more available because it was only available in small places. and then he was getting more profit when he was selling the things, and they actually used that profit to finance another drug that's currently in development, and they're almost to testing stage. They actually might be testing stage now, but he was actually trying to like get something to like actually cure the disease without like fucking you over. And like he's like done interviews and stuff where people go on his show and like call him an asshole. And he's like, well, here's my side of the story. And he tells it, and people are like, I guess you're not as bad as the media made you out to be. Like people actually end up agreeing with him when they go on his show. Like he'll invite people who are just ranting at him onto like his like little like web show and just explain to them. He's pretty good at it too.
He called into his show once.
He did.
Yeah, he calls in and says like, "Hey Martin, can I have a job?" And he's like, what are you good at?" And then Tim says like, "I'm good at procrastinating," and he just calls him a fucking idiot and hangs up. I'm kind of happy that he like at least like heard him out.
Yep. But it has been about 40 years since the president didn't release tax returns, and it was like Nixon, like a little over 40 years ago. So she was true on that statement. Another true statement, Hillary was talking about the rigged elections and how Trump was like dangerous. Then she said like, we've had 3 fair elections. I'm going to rate this as mostly true, saying we've had 3 fair elections in the last 200 years.
I think that's an agreeable fact.
Yep. In the last 200 years.
I don't think the Washington election was very fair. He was running unopposed. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah. But maybe Adams versus Jefferson.
That was a good one. I like that one.
At least the first one was pretty good. The second one was a little iffy.
We'll count that one. Which one? What else? What else? I never heard anything bad about Martin Van Buren.
Yeah, probably. Let's see. Who else? Can't really think of anything. What about what about FDR? Was FDR's that? I don't know. I haven't heard anybody blaming FDR for anything.
FDR's probably was.
It probably was. Like I know he was a piece of shit, but like I don't know if he rigged elections.
There we go.
Maybe he did, but okay. Well, we got at least 2 there. We'll figure out the third one eventually.
Eventually, we'll get.
Maybe Teddy Roosevelt. He'd probably have his friends. You know, the Roosevelts are pretty connected. I wouldn't expect the Kennedys or Roosevelt to have a fair fight.
Yeah, I think no, never mind. I'm thinking about something else. You want to move on? Last thing here.
Let me go.
We actually have 2 more things.
Oh yeah. So apparently like this like summer, Obama's brother, which I kind of knew he was like somewhat conservative like in the past because like I've heard things about him. This is actually Obama's brother. Like I kind of knew he was like conservative-ish in the past, but I completely like just forgot about it. I know he didn't really like his brother and he wasn't close to his brother. So this is Obama's brother. Just go to his front page and just look at some of his shit. Like just scroll over some of this stuff.
I like this this picture here.
Yeah. So like this guy just like is just like shit posting about here of like how Hillary's been. Go down to the fly one. The picture of the fly. The no-fly zone. Right there. Hillary wants a no-fly zone. Why is she not making on her face? Like he's a shit post. He's shit posting for Trump, and he's the brother to Obama. Also, scroll up a bit, right above that fly picture. Is that? Hey, that's Kellyanne Conway. That's Trump's campaign person with him. Wait, did he go to the? Did he go to the debate?
Tower.
Did he go to the debate today?
I don't think so, but this looks like Trump Tower.
And that was 4 hours. Like
it might be actually.
That's probably in like the what was it? The one in Vegas. So was that one of the Trump places in Vegas?
I think Trump Tower is in New York.
Well, he has a bunch of Trump buildings, though.
Maybe. I don't know. I think
this. He has the Chicago.
Yeah,
he has Chicago, New York, and he has some in Vegas, and I think he has some in Florida.
I think he was there.
Maybe scroll up and see.
He is commenting on it, so he either watched it or he was there.
Thank you, Sean Hannity.
Yeah, completely possible that he was there. Is this a jab at Jeb Bush?
I don't think so, but it's pretty good.
As we fly with the Eagles, we must remember to walk with the Turtles. All right.
I tried for years to get my brother to pay attention to his family. Trump pays attention to his family, so he's a good man. Like he's like stated before that like he supported his brother because he was family, but like he didn't agree with him on a lot of issues. And like now he's like actually like hardcore, like he's a centipede for Trump. He shit posts for Trump on Twitter. Obama's brother.
So, is this the same brother or not? That Dinesh D'Souza.
I think it's the same one, but it could be a different one. I don't know.
You want to tell that story?
So it might have been this guy. It might have been another one. I'm not too familiar with the story, but one of Obama's brothers like reached out to Dinesh D'Souza because he needed like a medical treatment, and like asked like, hey, can you give me like money for like medical treatment? He's like, well, why don't you ask like Obama to do it? He's like, well, he won't give me money, and like I know that like you're kind of like a political rival to him, and you could like use it in like your movie against him if like you pay for like my medical treatment, and I win because I get my treatment, and like so like he actually reached out to Dinesh D'Souza, and Dinesh D'Souza actually paid for his medical treatment.
Is that it? That wasn't very interesting.
Yeah, it's just like a little neat story that Obama's brother got medical treatment from Dinesh D'Souza.
I feel like you're just bad at saying the story.
How else do I say it better?
You got to put some emphasis in it. All right. You have anything else, or are we done here?
I think we're pretty much done there.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Big shout outs to Not For Reals, You Go Fuck Yourself, Red Pilled Civilian, and XEXT0MB Tome. These are people who commented on our videos, and we appreciate it. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more videos. Bye.